That's a plus.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, one of the biggest differences between 1918, there are a lot of differences, a lot of similarities, but one of the biggest differences, one of the most important, aside from lethality, well, three main differences. 1918 was much more lethal. 1918 killed young people
mm,
instead of old people. 90, well over 90% of the excess mortality was people under 65. Young children were most vulnerable to the virus. And then the second group after young children were people in their 20s and 30s.
that was because their immune system was so efficient it almost killed them.
Likely.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest differences. The second major difference would be, well, let's just get to the what I was getting at a second ago, timing. Influenza moves so much more quickly than COVID-19. So in 1918, people were dealing with it. Really, probably two-thirds of the deaths over a period of 2 years occurred in just 14 or 15 weeks in the fall of 1918. And in any given city, it took the disease, the virus, maybe 60, somewhere at the short end, 4 weeks, at the long end, 8 weeks to pass through any particular community. So you're only dealing with it for a matter of weeks. We've been dealing with this. It's now November.
Yeah.
It's probably entered the population in November 2019. So for 2 years. In Australia, while you're, still vaccinating people as we are here in the U.S., uh, it's dangerous in the unvaccinated population, so forth and so on. So to close things down for that long a period, there's much more tragic in 1918 and much more intense in 1918. But in a lot of ways, there's more stress this time around.
Yeah, because it's stressed so many different things aside just from healthcare, like the
Right. And
economy and mental
yeah,
health.
the economic impact is vastly greater
Yeah.
today than it was 100 years ago.
Would that be obviously? Would that be because obviously because we've locked down so heavily and for so long? Would that also have something to do with be because we depend on international trade so much more now than we did back then?
Well, I think it's more the fact that economies have been closed down. In 1918, they did close things in most places. There was always, at least in the U.S., always a local decision, not a national, or in many cases, even a statewide decision. But because we were at war, almost everything was considered a war industry except saloons, theaters, things that directly brought people together. All the actual businesses that operated, the vast majority of them continued to operate.
Yeah.
Uh, there was a lot of absenteeism because people were either afraid and wanted to stay home, or they were sick, or they were taking care of someone who was sick. Like coal mines, for example, in the U.S. And this, my guess is it was similar in Australia, although I don't know that for a fact. Uh, According to Metropolitan Life Insurance, over 6% of all the miners between the ages of 20 and 50 died. We're not talking about case mortality. We're talking about mortality.
Yeah.
And you're talking, and this is in a period of 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
The guy next to you drops dead. So coal mines in the U.S. basically shut down because miners were afraid to go to work.
Yeah.
I, my guess is something similar happened in Australia as well. Well, again, I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah.